Hey y'all, welcome to Convos with Bree. Today is day 18, and today I want to talk about letting go of people that were once a big part of your life. I see a common theme when people have to say goodbye or take some space from somebody that they previously used to allow to influence their life in a pretty big way. They spent a lot of time together, or their opinion mattered very much to them, and they loved each other very much. They cared about each other very much. And for whatever reason, they come to this point in their journey where it doesn't feel like love. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel building. In fact, it becomes the opposite. Every conversation turns into dread and appeasement and all of these things that we really don't want to have to do. And seeing them can start to feel like a chore. It doesn't feel very good to our souls. And our body is letting us know that we are craving, absolutely craving distance from this person. A lot of times, what I see, the very first thing that I see is people start to look back at the entire journey, the entire relationship, to discover where they have always needed the space and separation. And they start to see every single time that this person made them feel the way they currently feel. Now, I'm not saying that that is a bad thing, because sometimes we do need the hindsight opinion. We need to be able to look back and observe what the relationship has truly been versus what we have made it into. I know for me personally, I made a lot of those relationships great. I put in the effort. I maneuvered around their moods and around their needs. But what started happening when I looked back in that sense was my resentment started to build, and my frustration with, at the time, I thought it was with that person. How could they treat me like that? How could they be this way? I didn't have any answers for their behavior. But then I started looking at something else. How could I have allowed this for so long? Why did I lessen myself for so long? How did I let them make me feel this small and unseen and unheard and unappreciated for this long? How did I allow those crazy things that I allowed? And I started getting really angry, and I noticed a disconnect immediately. My mind was saying, I'm mad at them, but my body was saying, I'm mad at myself. I'm mad at myself for not seeing it sooner. I'm mad at myself for making this person so important. I'm mad at myself for all the time I've wasted, for feeling hopeless when I should have been smarter. And I was beating myself up. But I wasn't even actually allowing myself the opportunity to see how much I was beating myself up. I had this weird coping mechanism that I know that we all have. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us have this, where instead of allowing myself to connect within and to find gratitude within, I thought I just heard something. I started to get so upset with the other person. And I started making this giant disconnect between the person and myself. I started creating and sealing in negative energy. And I didn't understand that in that moment, I was giving them so much more power. I wasn't creating distance. I was making them the problem. I did not mean to give them more power in that moment. I meant to get my power back. But instead of getting my power back, I truly was giving them more power. And that just sealed in all of the ways that I had been doing this forever. I started seeing all the relationships where I, instead of taking the actual space I needed and understanding myself, why I allowed that to go on for so long, why I didn't feel like I could stick up for myself, why I didn't feel like I could ask the questions that would break us through this. Why didn't we have the conversations instead of me just going along with it? And I started to realize once I started switching it over to what I could control, because I can't control the other person, but I can control myself. I can control what happens within as long as I'm willing to meet myself where I truly am instead of pretending. So I decided right then and there that I was going to use every single time that I thought to myself, oh, this person did this. This person doesn't love me. This person doesn't treat me well. I decided that every time I felt that way, I would look at myself and say, why are we allowing this? Why are we afraid to have the hard conversation? Why are we afraid of them leaving your life when right now they aren't treating you well? I just started asking the questions. And at first I did get irritated with myself. And at first I was just transferring that negative energy onto myself. But then I realized I was doing that and that I was just creating more negativity within. And when I was blaming myself, I would ultimately find myself back on the same path. I would be blaming them eventually, or deep down in my unconscious, I would be harboring negative feelings towards them. But really, when I started looking at it and I started giving myself this grace to learn here, and I started understanding that I'm not alone in this, a lot of people do this. And I started looking at, why do other people allow this? And I could easily see empathy and just kind responses and kind answers to those questions. But when I asked myself the same questions, I didn't allow the empathy, the kindness, the understanding. I just felt like I should have known better. That's not fair, and that's not nice, and it's not building internally. I was transferring the war from happening with somebody else to with myself. And once I started to allow myself the grace to learn here, I started to understand how much changes there. I'm sorry, my dog is barking. They're getting hyped up about something over here. Can you please not woof when I'm recording? I get all snorty over there. Thank you. Thank you. But once I was able to give myself this grace, I was able to see everything differently. I was able to be kind to myself. I was able to see who I was versus who I now am so much more clearly. I was able to see all the lessons that I had been learning over all these years. And it was just incredible to see my growth and to see everything that was happening. And I wasn't angry like I was before. This time it was like I could see it the way that I see other people. I could see it the way that I was able to kindly and empathetically see everybody else. And all of that negativity started to go away. And it allowed me to also see the other person differently. It allowed me to see in them where I was able to see that they could be these people. And they have been these people. But it also it showed me that I didn't have to stay in relationships where they were struggling to see themselves. I didn't have to stay in relationships where they weren't really doing the work to connect the pieces within. They were just staying angry, staying in their difficult ways of being. And I realized that I was allowing myself to take all of this on for them because I thought it would help them become this version that I saw sometimes more often. And in some of these people, they were never those people. It was just like a pipe dream, honestly. It was a path that I could see beautifully working out for them if they wanted it. But me taking on all of their negativity and trying to work around them and trying to steady the waters for them all the time and in our relationship and being afraid to like rock the boat at all. That was actually keeping them in this space. It was like saying to them, it's okay that you treat me this way. And it wasn't. But because I was avoidant of the hard conversations, I didn't give them the opportunity to grow. So when I started finding this peaceful path within, I started realizing that I wanted to have more of the hard conversations. But the thing is that when I started trying to have them, sometimes people received them well and other times it escalated them. And their anger that they already put on me and their negative emotions just amplified. And at the time that I first started trying to do this, I realized this isn't going to work. Like this, I'm in a better place, but I'm not in the place where they can just treat me this way and not have the conversation. And I wasn't saying it in a way to be mean. I was just trying to find a way for us to all have a genuine conversation. And the escalation showed me that they were further from who I thought that they were than I had originally realized. And I saw in those conversations the lack of awareness and the lack of growth and the lack of empathy, the lack of responsibility, accountability, all of these things. And I had to start meeting people where they were instead of where I knew they could go. I needed to allow them to tell me and to show me who they are presently. And then I could decide if I wanted that person in my life. Is this someone who I want to learn here with? Is this someone who I feel will help me grow? Is this someone I feel like with time and with this effort, they will start to come out of this place? And most of the time, I've realized I would rather take the space. I would rather take the space because I have plenty of people who are ready to do the work and want the growth. And they pay me to do the work with me. Or we have become such great friends that they call me and that's all they want to do is they want me to show up exactly as I am. They want me to say every weird thing and do every weird thing that I do because they are in love with who I am as a person and how I make them feel and the things that they learn about themselves and about others and this journey when we have these conversations. And why would I waste a second of my time on something I think could be? It's the same I learned just now in real time as worrying about the future. I have no idea who these people will become. And if we are meant to be in each other's lives, we will not miss each other. Because, like I always say, nothing that is meant for us will miss us. That includes relationships, that includes all of this. So, if we are meant to come back together, we will. And we both have the right to meet each other in present day and decide if this is someone we currently want in our life or not. And it doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be bad. It can simply be a feeling in the body that says, this isn't right. And you can say, I've enjoyed catching up with you. If you bumped into each other, you can say, I enjoyed catching up. And, if we run into each other again, so be it. You do not have to make plans. You do not have to instantly allow them back in. You can just say, oh, I'm not sure when we'll see each other again, but I hope that life keeps going wonderfully for you. And you can simply end it. And there is so much peace and so much freedom in understanding this because it allows this ebb and flow without hate, without negativity, without resentment and bitterness and all of these feelings. You can just let somebody be and they can just let you be. And we can just show up. If life brings us together again, we show up and we see what that means. We see how it feels. But the people around us should feel good. The people around us should, even when it doesn't feel good, it'll come back together. You know that it's a safe space to be upset as well. And they also have a safe space to be upset and to not quite understand how to process their emotions or what to do with these big emotions because they are big emotions. It's typically not one instance or not one person. Typically, when something triggers us, it's because we've been triggered here over and over again, just time and time again in this experience by multiple people. And when it happens again, it's like it just tips you. It just tips you right over the edge. And it seems like it's all from this one moment, but it isn't. It's an accumulation of feeling this way. And the only way that we can truly change that is to go within, to start with peace and empathy and love and kindness for ourselves, for our understanding for who we've been versus who we are, and connecting that we have changed, connecting that we have grown, connecting that we don't have to fear these situations any longer because we know that we will now handle them differently. And we will continue to handle them differently the more that we learn and grow. So that's all I've got for today. If you have any questions, if something resonated in your soul, drop it. Let me know. Hit me up. If you want to book a combo, pop on over to the website, Convos with Bree. That's BREE. You can fill out the Book a Convo with Bree form. Just fill it out. Let me know what you think. And then we just have a little conversation to see if a convo is the right next step. I appreciate y'all so much. Let's enjoy this beautiful, beautiful day. And let's just try our best to breathe, to feel that internal peace, that internal kindness for self, and love for the experience.